Whether you're new to pool and practicing the basics, or a more experienced player performing drills to improve your shot making and positional play, the Drill Partner is perfect for you.
Is going on yet again. Hopefully, you guys have enjoyed your afternoon. This is the second show of the day. Milo Bell's in there. Uh, I see your comment in there, Mr. Bach. Don't know what that's referring to, but we're here to have some fun and talk some pool today. I got Dennis Hatch and a couple of great guests who are supporting pool in their own right on deck, so I'm pumped for that. We had a show earlier today with me and Mike, so make sure and go check that out. Kind of just the beginning of talking about all this, and even though it's the holiday season and Christmas and New Year's and all that, pool seems to be more year round than ever, which is great. Even though it can be a little exhausting at times. But for us pool nuts, we just love it. And so we got more stuff to dive on into. Tomorrow, we got Christina Tkach coming on at noon Central. So make sure and keep your notifications on for that one as well. We just had this gentleman on recently, and we're going to bring him on in for a bit of a follow-up. Dennis, can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Welcome back to the show, man. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. I see the festive background there. What did you get the wife for Christmas?
I got her a nice gold necklace with a little heart charm.
Okay, I like it. I like it. Playing it safe, but always
Yeah.
always a good go-to. You know what I mean?
Jewelry's always a good one to have.
Yeah. My
This all comes
daughter's
down after the first.
my daughter was brutal this last time because I was like, I think it was before her birthday, which is just a couple months ago. And I'm like, and it was maybe like 2 weeks out, right? And I'm like, Mama, what do you want for your birthday? And she hits me with the, well, Dad, you know me, so you should know what to get me by now. And I'm like, okay, that's the game we're gonna play here. So
Put you on the spot.
yeah, putting it all on me. But anyway, I'm glad Christmas is over. It was a great time. Hopefully you enjoyed yours as well. We just had you on, Dennis, talking about Moscone Cup captaincy a couple of weeks ago. What's been the feedback from you or from fans and peers and maybe players following you formally throwing your name into the mix and coming on the show?
I've had nothing but positive feedback so far from a lot of friends, fans, and some players. I've received a few text messages and stuff just saying that they think that I'd be a good choice for captain. But this isn't just about me. This is, whether I'm picked or it's Scott or Johan or me and Johan or Scott and Johan. It's about trying to help the team win. And trying to get all of the tools that we can put together to help them win, whether it's me, Scott, or Johan, or all three of us, or two of us. I want to just everyone to know that these guys are here, not just if I'm a captain, but they're here for the whole team, for the whole country. It doesn't matter who captain is. I just asked these guys to come on with me. They said they would, and I'm sure not only will they do this for me, but they'll do it for whoever else is chosen.
How great is it to have support within the industry, Scott? From we got Dave and Chris in the green room. We'll bring them on here in just a minute. But how great is it to have support within the industry for a cause that basically, like, there's no, just on the business side of it, there's no financial benefit for them. Like, from the sense of like it increasing their bottom line, and you're just basically doing it for the love of USA and having a lot of like patriotic pride.
Right. That's the thing that's going to cost these guys money. I mean, Chris from the league rooms offered to get a brand new table, just like the Moscone Cup table, shimmed up, 4-inch pockets. Dave's offering to do whatever it takes, pretty much is what he said. He sent me a text message and said, we need to step up. We need to do whatever it takes. So he's willing to, not shut down the pool room. He wants to open it up to the public and get everybody in there yelling and screaming while we have practice sessions in a boot camp or a mini Moscone Cup. So again, it's going to cost these guys money, but they're willing to help. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
They don't care what it takes. They want to see us win.
What's it been like over the last couple of days, Dennis? You mentioned about the fans and player support, but there's also a video from Scott, which me and Mike were reflecting on earlier today. Had a lot of similarities in terms of his approach and plans that he had in mind. He also wanted to throw his name into the mix, and he kind of like hinted around the fact that, as far as other, and didn't mention you directly, but as far as like just other people that were throwing their names into the mix and had a pretty he had a direct opinion about it, and I want to get your take on that, and what's the last couple of days been like following that announcement.
Well, I was actually sick. I'm still just getting over a cold, so I had a chance to, kind of relax for the holidays and have a chance to watch the whole video. A friend of mine, Travis, sent me to watch Scott's video, and I basically, and I'm not bashing him in any way, shape, or form. I just think that he kind of, I'm not saying that he copied me. Maybe he just agreed with me and said pretty much the same stuff that I said, that Justin needs to be playing again and be on the team, which he said he's going to start playing again. We need to do boot camps. It needs to be more serious. Pretty much, and then he said that he would do it. He doesn't want to be paid, but only if the team gets to a certain number, he would get paid. I said I only want to be paid if I win. I want to win. That's all I care about. I don't care if it's hill. If we don't win, don't pay me. I want to win. That's all. I just want to win. I'm sick of seeing them lose. I'm sick of the fans being upset. I'm sick of watching them get annihilated. And I was part of that. We played the Legends. I think it was, I can't remember the year, but Johnny, Earl, Shane, and myself, and I think Rodney was involved, and we got beat like 11-2. But it happens to the best of us. So again, I just want to see him win. I don't care who's.
On the note of that, like that's a pretty solid roster that you were there. I mean, those guys got beat 11-3 this year. What was the morale like? And obviously, social media wasn't as prevalent back then as it is now. But what was like? How are you responding from that, or what are you talking to guys about, or do you even want to talk to anybody in the locker room afterwards, or give us some insight into how that went?
I think if my memory serves me correct, right before the Moscone Cup, Johnny changed the break, the box to a smaller box. He felt like it would benefit us because they always, break from the rail and they were out breaking us from the rail. So Johnny wanted to try to change it, and it was in hindsight one of the worst things we could have done because they outbroke us even worse. Um, so we took the lump. I mean, there's nothing you can do. What are you going to get mad at each other and start fighting? I mean, we were getting beat, and every day we just say, "Hey, come on, guys, let's win a point and get going here and try to make the best of it." And it never happened, of course, but no, you just take the lump and move on.
Yeah, I'd imagine it's like a bit of an ego thump there too. You know what I mean? You guys have a lot of pride, a lot of accomplishments individually in your own right.
It was definitely an ego downer. Yeah, to go out there and have at the time 5 of the best players in the country. We got annihilated, and it was sad actually. Yeah, it was sad because again we won 2 points, and for 5 guys of that caliber to only win 2
Yeah,
points out of 11 is pretty pathetic. But I mean, we tried, we played hard. It just
yeah,
it just wasn't there. It didn't happen.
right. Yeah, I mean,
Not only did we get, they outbroke us, but they outplayed us. And it doesn't, if 5 guys are on a team together, they have to gel. I don't care who it is. It can be the 5 best players in the world, not the country, in the world. And if they don't gel well, then they're probably not going to perform well together. So
yeah.
you can take the top 5 players in the world and put them together, and they might not win. Just like you brought up behind the scenes about the Lakers. So
Yeah, we were talking about that just before we went on air, and I was just kind of reflecting a little bit about like that Lakers team years ago where they just had like 5 all-stars. They didn't end up
5
winning the
choice.
championship,
Yeah.
and it's like, but on paper, you would think that, you're gonna, when you got name players, that it's just gonna work, and we've seen
Mhm.
though, like I mean, look, you can even pick any sport, whether it's, you know, what is it, like years ago when the Thunder had Kevin Durant and James Harden and Russell Westbrook, they never won. You know what I mean? And then you think about this year's Patriots team, where it's like I thought it was just going to be rebuilding time, and now here they are in the top, 2 or 3 seeds in the AFC, and so like the team is the biggest thing, and that's so hard to do though, Dennis, because all of you guys are like alpha in your own right, but then you also are individuals, like, whatever it is, 11 months out of the year,
Yeah, that's the other thing. We got 5 guys out there trying to chop each other's heads off, as Scott said, throughout the year. We all want to beat each other and gamble with each other and beat each other. But when it comes time to, and that's part of the preparation, right? You take a
Yeah.
couple of weeks to set that aside. You come together for, let's say, 10 days, and you become a group and you become one, and you try to work towards a common goal, right? Which is to win the Moscone Cup. So you go from wanting to beat each other and beat each other out of money and beat each other in tournaments to becoming friends,
Yeah.
or teammates, just build the camaraderie is what all you need to do. And it doesn't take a lot. It just takes some skilled structure to get these guys to agree to do. And I believe we can still win. I don't, yeah, do they play better than us? They might play a little bit better than us. And I honestly don't believe that. I think if you took the people that were on the team, Sky, Shane, Fedor, right? Does anyone want to gamble with Fedor or Shane? A race to 100? I don't think anyone on that team wants to play either one of our guys. I could be wrong, but
Yeah.
I don't think they do. And obviously, it's not a race to 100; it's a race to 5. But still,
Sure.
we have champions. They have champions. It should be a little bit closer, right?
Yeah, and I think that's like where a lot of fans' frustration comes from, is that, like, and just sports fans in general. It's like you want to see something competitive, you want to have hope, you want to have something to get fired up about. And even if you go, take a thumping, you know what I mean, you want to see effort. And sometimes sports is wacky like that, where you'll get your ass whooped, but like the score line doesn't necessarily reflect how
Right.
competitive it was. And I can think
Right.
of numerous different sports, matches that I've seen that's like that. You know what I mean? Where
Yeah.
on paper
Yeah.
you'll go back and look at the ESPN scoreboard, and it's like, man, but that game was like, 2 or 3
Yeah.
plays changed the whole thing.
Yeah.
But that was it.
Turns it into a
Um,
blowout. I just,
how
from
hard is
what
it?
I saw this year, was a lot of, honestly, I think it was a little lack of preparation. I saw people accelerating a lot on balls that they were like rushing and hitting hard. And I felt like the shot clock became an issue quite a few times. And I felt like someone should have said something to the ref, Sky as a captain, or whoever is the captain, not labeling Sky, but just should say, hey, when my guys are trying to shoot, could you give us a little extra time, or ask the crowd to keep it down? Because when Tyler was shooting the 9 after he had missed the first one, every
Yeah,
time
yeah.
he got to the 9, it was like the crowd was screaming and yelling every time he was shooting one. You
Well,
know,
that's part of like the brutal part of the ups and downs, the ebbs and flows, if you will, the Moscone Cup, because it's like you're going to expect it, but the problem is that there's a lot of intelligent pool fans that have a little bit of alcohol in them, and
yeah,
then and then once you give them any bait to like respond, like once they see you crack, then they're like, okay, now I know what's in that guy's head, and you see it. Man, you'll go to watch a free throw or go and watch a extra point in
yeah.
football or
I was
or
going to say
whatever.
the same thing.
Yeah,
It's funny you brought that up. You ever throw
yeah,
NBA free throw? The guy shooting
yeah.
the free throw, they're waving stuff and screaming and
College
yelling.
is even worse,
Yeah, it is.
But that's sports, and I get like there's this gentleman side of pool, which is a whole other debate in and of itself. But I agree with you, like, guys want to see guys go to bat for them to some extent as well, and that's where I feel like those it can be tough to do when you're expected to play at a high level, but at the same time still have those roles as far as being the captain and be focused on that part of it, because you only
Yeah.
have but so much bandwidth going on here. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
there's enough pressure and stress as it is without having to do all that. And then you have a captain who can come in and kind of, put his foot down and say something to not just Emily, not just the ref, but someone to where it. Because did you notice that when they were shooting, it was dead silent? I
Yeah.
mean, it was
Well,
quiet, right?
Jason said the same thing whenever following Florida, and even on some posts following the Moscone Cup. He was like, it was like that whenever we were in Florida, and that's always going to be the Moscone debate. Personally,
Yeah,
I'm not the one playing, obviously. So like for me, I'm going to enjoy them trying to rattle the other player. And to Tyler's credit, he did give he embraced it fully, despite the fact that the wheels completely came off there.
he did.
And
He did.
and you gotta respect that too, because he wears it as about as well as you can, because that's not an easy part to be in, like in
Not
any
at all.
sport, but especially a team sport. And like you don't want to let anybody down. You don't want to let yourself down. You don't want to let the fans down. You don't want to let your teammates down. The guys who are right there next to you.
And then after all that happened, and he did dog it, and he got chastised, on Facebook, and
Hmm.
everybody was, oh, what a dog! He shouldn't be on the team. they posted, I think Matchroom or Emily posted Tyler was after it was over. He was the only one that was left in the building, still taking pictures and signing autographs after the Moscone Cup was over. Do you recall seeing that?
Yeah, it's a lot of class and respect and professionalism.
Unbelievable,
Yeah,
unbelievable. It's that's the kind of people we need. And we're all going to dog it. We're not all going to go out there and perform at 100% every single time. I mean, they all missed balls. I mean, who didn't miss balls this time? I mean, I've seen Jason play horrible, you know what I mean? But he comes back and plays great. It's going to happen. You can't get up every day and play perfect. It's just not, that doesn't work like that.
I've listened to a lot of like great athletes tell stories over the years, just like from like my own appreciation of them. And one of them is like Federer, and he always talks about how much more that he's learned through losses and defeats, way more than any kind of successes that he's had, and being able to bounce back. And so I think that's going to be telling for Tyler. I personally, I think that he's made for it, but you still got to, as much as you want to be able to bounce back, there still has to be some results. And unfortunately, the Moscone Cup is only but once a year, which is really difficult. You know what I mean? So it's like, you can't bounce back on the next game next week, or, the next game in, a month from now or whatever. But fans have short-term memories. But, now I'm loving it that things are very year round. And I think more than ever, USA needs some structure, needs some support. And on the note of support, Dennis, you were dropping some names last time as far as guys who are wanting to go to bat with you. And on that note, I just want to bring him on in. Dave Bartosiak, I'm sure I'm butchering that name, via Classic Billiards.
No, that was good.
and wow, there you go, Chris Wilson from the league room. We've had Chris on before. He's
Sorry,
traveling right now.
I'm not sure, but for some reason I don't have any audio on your end.
Oh, well, we can hear you. Can you hear us all right? Yay, nay, maybe? We'll send you out, Chris, and refresh, and I'll try to bring you back in. Dave, whenever Dennis was talking about getting people together for the Moscone Cup in preparation, you got a room, for those of you who don't know, out there in Florida, Classic Billiards. Why did you decide, and I've seen you, support players over the last couple of years, but why did you throw your hat in the mix as far as, look, if you need me, you can count on me?
One, I care. I'm a huge fan of the Moscone. I was in Orlando last year. I was in London earlier this month, and after getting to know these guys a little bit, like literally like knowing the players a little bit more, and on both sides too. I mean, I know a lot of the Europeans. I know the American guys, and everybody wants it to be more competitive, and I'm hyper competitive myself. And I just was like, we need anything I can do to step up and help this team in any way, shape, or form. Like, I'm going to make it happen. Like, there's a reason I'm in this, and it's to help make a difference. And that's what it's all about, man. It's not about dollars and cents over at Classics. I literally started it almost as like a hobby, or took over as a hobby.
Yeah, I was just thinking, it's probably going to be a losing proposition from a business standpoint, Dave. I mean, tournaments historically are at in general.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's it's not about that. It's about winning, and whatever the costs are. Like, we want to make it happen. So I think personally, like over at Classics, we've got such a unique kind of area there. We built out. You saw our arena that we built out there on some of the live streams that we did, and we're loud, like we're brash, we're kind of in your face. It's not your typical pool hall. It's not a library. And it just fits so well with Moscone and training for Moscone. So when I was talking to Dennis, and I talked to Scott too, I talked to a lot of people about this. It's like, hey man, anything we can do to help you guys, if you want to come through and we can, simulate an environment like you're going to see a hostile environment at Moscone. Like, we can get people in there loud and rowdy and making noise. Not a problem. We can pump in music super loud. We could do, whatever it takes to try to simulate an environment that you're going to see when you go out there, because you're not going to get it in a back room somewhere where everybody's whispering and being quiet, and it's just not going to happen. So there's not enough events that takes place. You don't have that Moscone environment anywhere. So how are you going to get used to it? You're not going to know until you're there, and they're yelling at you all types of obscenities and nasty stuff coming out of their mouth.
There is.
And you don't know how you're going to react until you're in that situation. So if we can, create that situation, that'd be fantastic. And if that's a little bit that's going to help, and then I'm all for it, man. Whatever it takes.
Look,
Yeah,
it's
the
like,
more you do it and the more you practice it, and the more used to it you get. So when you get out there, instead of it not being second nature, it becomes routine. You can listen to the crowd. You can deal with Jason. You can listen to the shot clock and all the noises. You'll be used to it because when we go to Dave's, like he said, it's not your typical pool room. It's not a library. It's pretty brash. I wouldn't give a clinic there, and the music was playing. I had to ask Dave to turn the music down so we could talk and do the trick shots. But it's a beautiful place, and he has a ton of customer support and appreciation. And like you said, he built that arena. It's a perfect environment to bring the players in, have a 3-on-3 or a 5-on-5 boot camp there with a mini Moscone Cup, right? With some Spanish players, Anthony Maglino, and some players that don't make the team, whoever
there's
doesn't
some
make
good
the
sparring
team.
partners for sure. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
sparring partners, right? And have the Moscone Cup, if not two, and then have them practicing there. And Chris isn't on here; he has no audio, but he's willing to have us there also and get how do you say the table, Rassen or Rassan?
Or Rassin.
He's Rassen. He's willing to get a Rassen with 4-inch pockets identical to the table that they play on. Shimmed, cut pockets, same thing, exactly identical. Brought into his pool room so we can train for a week. After we go there, then we go to Dave's. We do Dave's for a week. Now we have 2 weeks together, preparation and planning with people behind us that believe in us, and then we go to the cup. And you tell me if we get beat 11-2, well, okay, we were prepared. We just got beat. It's not going to
Yeah,
be anything
yeah,
more prepared.
yeah.
I can promise you that because we're going to be 100% prepared.
And
I,
that's
I
part of
have
like,
I have a friend that has, as he called it, a Bible of Moscone Cup stuff that's written down. And just like Scott showed us Post-its, the big ones.
yeah,
And
yeah.
listen, I hope Scott or Scott and Johan, or I and Johan, or maybe even me and Scott can become captains. Again, I want to see us win. If it's Scott, great. If it's Johan, great. If it's me, great. I'll be happy. But it's just about winning, right? I'm coming on here because I want people to know that I want to help. I'm going to bring people on to help, and I'm going to do everything and anything that I can to make this team great. I might not play as good as them anymore, even though I think I still do. But it's not about taking, direction from someone just because you play better than they do. Because Johan doesn't play better than any of us, but he coaches all of the best players in the world.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that because Scott had a pretty Scott had a pretty fiery quote the while back about like, listen, what's a guy going to tell top players where they're going to like realistically go and listen? And I'm paraphrasing here, but it's kind of a difficult mindset to overcome because in every other sport you have coaches, and like you mentioned in terms of Johan, listen, he's not rocking a World 9-ball championship trophy on his mantle there.
340 Fargo, no offense, Johan.
Yeah, yeah.
But, you don't have to know how to talk to someone, and you don't have to be a champion in order to know how to teach or talk to someone. My father taught me how to play, and he taught a lot of other people how to play. He actually gave Nick Varner kind of a lesson at a tournament. Nick lost his first match, and my dad walked up to him, and Nick was chewing gum. Hey, Greg, I'm not doing too good. My dad worked with him for about an hour, showed him this game that we practiced. Nick went to the
Dennis,
side and won the tournament.
It's like the old saying, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink.
Right.
Like how can you open up their minds to being receptive to it? Because if you were a former alcoholic, right? Who was going to make you quit drinking? Was it going to be your mom or your girlfriend or whoever, or was it going to have to come from you?
Me.
Exactly. Yeah. That's my point, And so but like if you didn't have it in you, it didn't matter what rehab you went to or what this place you went to or that place you went to. If it wasn't in you, it was never you were doomed from the beginning.
Yeah, no, I stopped numerous times. I never actually went to rehab. I always stopped on my own. And I'm pretty strong-willed when it comes to stuff like that. If I set my mind to something, I'm pretty good at setting my mind to things and not doing them. I actually quit smoking and drinking at the same time, which is absolutely crazy.
That's brutal. I quit smoking maybe another year after I quit drinking because I couldn't handle it. That couldn't say that on the same one, man.
But if you look at all sports, right? But they have a swing coach. They have a mental coach. They have, a strength coach. They have coach this, coach that, right? They have multiple coaches, not just one coach for multiple things. And the strength coach or the mental coach might not play as good as they do, but they still can help you with your thought process or your stroke or the way you feel that day. If they're over accelerating, you can let them know, hey, guys, just slow your stroke down a little bit, take a deep breath and be more methodical. don't swing. And they were accelerating a lot is what I saw, and kind of dropping the elbow a little bit. But the acceleration from what I saw was probably the worst thing that they were doing. But it doesn't take someone that plays better than you to teach you something, right? It can be someone that doesn't play as good as you, and they can still know more or teach you something. It's unbelievable. It really is.
It's such a hard culture to overcome, though, because like the vetting process with pool players, at least these days, are, well, what's your Fargo?
Right. I'm one of them.
Yeah. You can't play, or you can't. I don't want to hear your opinion because you're a terrible player, or you haven't done shit, or whatever. And I get it, and I understand that mindset. But it's also it's like being back in the Stone Ages. You know what I mean? Because that is the world we live in, and no one's saying. I feel like, well, at least I'm not saying that these players aren't decent or great in their own right, but like just like anything else in life, it's like you got to have it, especially with top players. It's the smallest of percentages that you add up that complement each other that's going to make the difference over time. So whether that's the mental side or the preparation side or the diet side or whatever. And listen, not everybody has the same, discipline and will to be able to do it themselves. That's why a lot of top players, whether it's tennis players or golf players or whatever, bring in these people to like help support them and keep them in line, keep them engaged, keep them accountable as well.
Listen, if you build a routine for, let's say, 2 weeks, I'd like to say 3 weeks, 21 days, you develop a habit. But if you build a routine and you start playing at 11 a.m., right? None of these guys practice at 11 a.m. I can promise you that. Yeah. Pool players are night people, right? We sleep till 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
But Tyler will. Yeah. Tyler's got good work ethic. Yeah.
Well, Tyler does, yes. Yeah, but he's probably the only one out of them, including myself, right? I like to get up. I used to like to get up late, sleep all day, and then get up and go to the pool room and practice or play all night. But if you're going to play at 11 a.m., you want to be down there hitting balls at 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the morning, right? Yeah. And you want to play for the 3, 4, 5 hours the Moscone Cup lasts. So say from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. That's when they need to practice, right? Not get up at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and then go eat breakfast and then go practice at 5 o'clock at night, because the Moscone Cup's already over at that point if you're trying to build a routine and a schedule, right? If it's at 7 o'clock at night, that's fine. But if it's at 11 o'clock in the morning, it doesn't work like that. And in the USA, it starts in the morning.
Dave, let me ask you, you've been around a lot of players, whether on the European side or Latin American players or even American players. What's like a trait or that you see where like these great players that they all have, whether it's discipline or whatever?
Yeah, it's definitely discipline and dedication. And when those guys get into it, man, they are just like robots, dude. And they get dialed in and they'll sit there and so like perfect example. Right before Shane and Federer did their big money match at Rail Yard in 10 ball, Shane came through to Classics, and for 5 days in a row, for 8 hours a day, I'm not exaggerating, bro, 8 hours a day, all the man did was break 10 ball. He didn't run any other, like break, rack, 8 hours a day for 5 straight days, dude.
Wow.
So they just get in this groove and they just stick with it, and it's repetitive, and they just do the same thing kind of over and over again.
He's a maniac, is Shane. I've seen it, man. And then like you'll see him like as he'll break, and then he'll kind of think, okay, why did this go long? Why did that ball go short? And then it's an obsession. Yeah.
He never hit a ball
a little bit. He never hit. He just racked and broke and racked and broke. And I was like, what is going on here, bro? Like, it was incredible. And sure wore out that cloth too, man. Right.
Oh yeah. Cloth, you had the streak going on there, I bet.
Right there. But it was impressive to watch. And we've got other players that kind of come and go through our room too. And for them to see that, I think was great, because now they go, wow, this is literally what it takes to get to that next level. I got to do that. So then when Gerson Martinez was in right before that 3x3, we were talking a lot about 9-ball, because they play a ton of 10-ball in South America.
Yeah,
he doesn't play as much 9-ball, but this year he wants to get on the World 9-ball tour a little bit more. And I was like, dude, you just got to break. And I told him the Shane story, and the look on his face was just like, what? He did it for 8 hours a day for 5 days? I was like, bro, yeah. And then so
when Shane's motivated, it's crazy how like focused that he can get dialed in. And there's not many players that are like that. I remember one time I was in Dallas it was when Dennis was playing Sky on the bar table, and they were playing bar table 10-ball, and it was for like a good sum of money, maybe like 200,000+ in the middle. It was a big money match. And but I wanted to get a little video with Dennis, and I knew the room owners. I texted them, "Hey, I want to go by it." I knew Dennis was going to be there practicing, but I don't like interrupting guys. That's one thing that I'll wait whenever they take a break. The same thing, like Shane, sat there and broke, and my ass just sat there and just watched him break the balls for at least 5 hours. And this is like before they were about to play for a good 7 hours in that day. And then another story about Dennis, because he's just like Shane, is that when I went to go see them play in Virginia, it was dubbed like the biggest 10-ball match in the history of whatever. It was the first time they played 10-ball was them two. And Dennis gets smoked by Shane. It was over by day one. But following day one, it's already like 2 a.m. And all Dennis does is as soon as Shane gets out of there, Dennis stayed there. I'm not even joking, for another 3 hours following play to practice his 10-ball break, because he was that obsessed and wanted to figure out. And he went through from a Q-Tech cue to a Southwest cue to, this other custom cue maker's cue. I mean, he was like the mad scientist up here. But like the great players, they're wired different, man. And that's the thing, is that like, and Tyler's a good credit to this, where like you don't gotta necessarily be the best player on earth, but like if you have great work ethic, that's gonna get you so much farther in any aspect of life. And I think that's where some of the frustration of fans come into. It's like when you see the Europeans who on paper they're stealing, right, get together for 2 weeks, and then you see the Americans who are the underdogs only get together but a couple of days before. It's like, man, come on, we can do better. You guys can do better.
Yeah, I always wondered what and I've been part of it, so I never really got deep into it. So what the process, how does it work? Why are they there 2 weeks ahead of time? Because Jason Shaw posted and said they were already out there. They went and played Sweden or wherever they were playing.
From my understanding is that Jason just messaged the guys wanting to get together and say, hey, this is what we want to do. And those guys bought in, and that was on their dime.
Or match.
That was on their dime.
That was on their dime. Yeah, they all went to McGodrick's, which is his sister's room over there in Scotland.
That's where they went.
But that's where
they played 2 Moscone Cups.
Yeah,
they played it
like little ones.
A 9-ball and an English table.
Yeah. But I think that the bigger question just comes to me anyway. It's like, well, how bad do you want it? Because those guys want it. Jason did not want to go and lose to a subpar American team. He had no interest in that whatsoever.
I don't think it was that subpar. Everybody keeps saying that. I think they had a great team. I think that.
I mean, like just on paper anyway. You know what I mean?
On paper. I think they made the right choice with Billy over Lucas. Lucas had never been there before, and to send him in to London for his first experience, I think
you got to earn it, man. You got to go and earn it to get on that team.
Yeah, I think that they made the right choice with Billy. He's been there. He's been to London. He knows what it's like. But hindsight's 20/20. But so when we went to Vegas, we had a boot camp. I think it was a 10-day boot camp with Johan. There were like 12 of us there. Chris Robinson, Josh Roberts, Shane McMahon, me, Billy Sky, Shane, Tyler, everybody. We're all there. Corey. So we got to play for like 5 days, and then Johan cut the boot camp down to I think five people, the team. And for the next 5 days, we practiced together, but not Shane. Johan let Shane practice on a table by himself because he didn't want to be part of the team atmosphere, which I understand. He's a loner and he likes to practice by himself.
Historically, that's just Shane.
Yeah, we all did, and Shane did the boot camp, the drills and the Mighty X and all the other stuff that he had us doing. But when we weren't doing that stuff, Shane was practicing by himself. If we were doing team stuff, too, like me and Sky or me and Tyler doing drills, Shane would be by himself. When I got done with that, this goes back to Johan not being a great player, right? I was a little skeptical about Johan too. I'm like, well, what can this guy? And this coming from me, and my father taught me everything that I know. No one's ever taught me anything. I went to Buddy's house for 2 weeks, and that was a whole other story. But my father taught me, and my father raised 4 kids, worked for the railroad, and he was a great player, but not a champion.
All the tools you need to be a champion pool player, what it sounds like, Dennis.
He raised me and bred me to be a pro, right, and a champion at a young age. I turned pro at 15. I started beating pros at like 18 years old. It was unbelievable. I got second in the U.S. Open at 20. I won my first event at 21, and it was, from there, I went on to win more. But Johan, after we had those 10 days with him and in a structured environment, I felt better than I've ever felt. I felt like I could beat anyone that I played for money at that point in time after we got done. I felt
Did
like
you think you were gonna? Did you think you were gonna get there before already, like having this assumed mindset of this guy and what he can bring to the table? Like, were you
I didn't know.
surprised?
I
Yeah,
just went into it with an open mind. As I said, I was a little bit skeptical, but I'm like, this
yeah,
guy's worked with a lot of great players, right? He
yeah,
must know something.
right,
So,
yeah,
I went in with an open mind. And not only did I go in with an open mind, I was a little enthusiastic about it because I was going to learn some new stuff, right? I'm open minded. I want to learn. And I did. And not only did I learn, but I flourished because after the days, I still have the sheet. I won almost every category there was to win out of all the best players in the U.S. And I couldn't believe it because I didn't even focus on winning. I just focused on the tools that he gave me to practice with in the drills because we kept
I've,
score, we kept track.
I've heard that about a lot of top players following Johan, where it's just like post Johan, I should say, where it's just like, and here's the deal: you don't gotta like the guy. I'm sure there's a lot of like great partnerships in sports where like they didn't like the guy, right? I'm
Right,
asking you to be their fucking best friend. Just
right.
buy into the process and let's hope for a better result and with good work ethic and you letting them take the wheels there. You know what I mean? I think it's a
Yeah,
pretty good recipe, especially considering like now in hindsight, seeing all of his successes and things like that.
yeah. But the thing is now is that everybody knows what he can do and what he's going
Sure.
to teach and what he's because he's the Mighty X and all the other drills. We already know all that stuff.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
what is he going to teach next? What's next? And I don't know because I haven't been there in a while, but I do know this. Whether it's Johan or me or Scott, if the team's got to want you there, so you should talk to the team if you're matchroom. This is just my opinion, and ask them who they would like to be captain. And if they say they don't want a captain, well, you don't give them a choice. Here's your three choices. Which one do you like?
Yeah, yeah.
Right? Or let America pick the captain. They want to be involved. All you ever hear are fans just saying, "Oh, do this, do that." Let the fans get involved a little bit. Put me, Johanna Scott, out there and let the fans pick. Fans get to pick the captain. What's wrong with that?
I think like I said, I love fan engagement. And Matchroom does as well. Always, and that's part of the Moscone Cup festivities. You know what I mean? They do a really good job, especially like outside of the arena stuff of just getting
Yeah.
people involved and making sure they have a good time and all that. But here's the thing: like, look, it can't. To be honest with you, it can't get any worse because it's already about as bad as it can be. You know what I mean? You're
They
already
want to
you're
get
already
involved.
bottoming
Let
out.
them get involved, right?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, it might not be the ideal thing to do, but again, what can go wrong, right? There's three
yeah,
people
yeah.
that want to be captain. At least if you don't let them pick, let them have a say. Put up a voting poll, let them vote and see who they want to be captain. Ask the players, and take a consensus, and then maybe choose out of the three that best fits the team, right?
Dave, what do you think
And
is the difference between those two teams from your perspective? Because your vantage point has been both there in Orlando and in London the last 2 years. You've seen the same five guys go out there in two different environments. What does your lens tell you that the difference is and what's gone wrong?
It's a couple things. I think one is just that team mentality. They have it. Dennis talked about it. Well, these guys are trying to rip each other's heads off after every tournament, gambling, in other places, and that's fine. That's just kind of American culture, right? It is what it is.
Sure.
But these guys are, Europe gets together and it's all about the team, and it's not just even doing drills and stuff, right? I mean, these guys are in the gym. They're working out. They're just together. It's all just team building, man. So I think that just mentally puts you in a place that makes it easier for you to win when you're in a hostile environment, right? So
Yeah.
when you feel like somebody's got your back, you're fine. And those guys on Europe, man, they genuinely like each other. Like they all really like each other. They all really get along, which is fun to see. And I think that's the major point. The other thing is that the Europeans feel like they're better.
Yeah.
Like individually, every single one of them thinks that like whatever, we're like the Americans aren't going to beat us because they're so confident in their abilities and how good they are as pool shooters. So there's just that underlying confidence that they have heading into that event. So when you have the team, you guys got your back and you're feeling supremely confident, it's going to be pretty hard to knock you off of that, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's why it's been so skewed, because they're not getting rattled ever, because they're in control early and they're winning the matches, and they're not getting frazzled where something's getting in their head and then it all sort of unwinds. Like at one point in London, we were only like was like 4 9-balls that we missed to make points, and it would have been like 6-5 us if we had made those or whatever the exact numbers were. It's because when we get in those situations where it's time to go ahead and make it happen, you don't have the confidence, you don't have your brother's back, and you're not mentally prepared, for that environment as well as you could be. And like, again, I'm not trying to say that these guys aren't mentally prepared, like they're trying, they're pros, dude. They're all great pool shooters, right? We're not taking that away from any of these guys. But the Europeans just have that extra gear right now. And we're trying to figure out how to get that back for the U.S. And I think it starts with, like Dennis and Scott and everybody's talking about, get them together, get some boot camps, and let's win this thing. Let's start wrestling it. We got to change the way things are going here in the U.S. and not just for this. I mean, Dennis, I think it's a great idea if we do a boot camp, not even the top tier Moscone guys. What if we go the next 5 guys in the U.S., the guys who might do it in 5 or in 2 or 3 years, right?
That's what I
Get
said.
those guys together, bring them down there. Like you said, you had the big one with 12, whatever.
Look,
we can have them down there the week before the Moscone guys get down there, and then
there's a lot of hope and optimism with some of these juniors and younger players that are on the fringe, and I firmly believe that.
One of my favorites is Shane Wolford. I mean, the guy's a lefty, and I love watching him play. He has a ton of heart. I mean, you could literally create a second team, not Batali, but who's the one that Jesus Astencia, right? You could take 5 guys, and you can put them on a second team, right? Let's say you have a team that's chosen. So you take 5 guys that didn't make the team, you bring them down to Florida to have a Moscone Cup. $5,000 for the winner. Someone's coming up with 5,000. I don't know who, Dave. I'm not throwing you out there. I'm just saying, make them play for something. Winner take all.
$5,000 for these guys. Like,
what did you say?
There's a ton of sponsors that will do that.
Yeah, exactly. And I have a couple, but
the money's the easy part.
Right. Have them come down and play a mini Moscone Cup, and when that's over, then you do another one, right? So you do back-to-back mini Moscone Cups on top of a boot camp, right, for 10 days. These guys are going to be more ready than they've ever been in their life. And I honestly would like to, and I just talked about gambling and trying to chop each other's heads off, but you take the 5 guys that didn't make the team, again, have someone put up the money to play for races to 5 for 500 against each other for the whole day, right? Talk about a little quick pressure. I mean, everything makes a difference. All the preparation.
Look, I don't think back when Team USA won, they had the 5 best players. I think it's just when you put in the effort and things come together, roles come your way, and you close out when you're supposed to. And I think personally, like if you were just going to go off of like how mentally strong and heart, I think the Americans are way ahead of the Europeans personally. I think that's why you see them gamble a lot more than those European boys do, just in general. But when you feel comfortable with the guy next to you, like Shane has to win this point because all the pressure's on his shoulder.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? All those things.
Yeah.
Like that's a lot to shoulder, man. You know what I mean? And it's hard to beat those demons.
If you could create a team that could take some weight off of Shane and Fedor and actually win some points. Not that this team couldn't, because like Dave said, they could have. They missed 4 9-balls. It could have been 6-5 us. But when that happens, right, we're going downhill. Now everything, all the weight, every time Shane and Fedor come up, if we get down 1 point,
they're the hope.
We're losing, right? The whole world knows if Shane loses his next match, now we're down 3-1, and everybody's like, well, it's over.
Slitting my wrist over here. You know what I mean?
Right. So all the weight can't be on them. We need a team that is going to have each other's backs. And if you lose a point, it's not the end of the world. The next guy gets up, plays his ass off, wins the point, and gets us back on the even keel. It's got to be a team environment. All the weight can't be on the top 2 players because it is every time. And I know that because I've been there. And like when we would get down, we would expect Shane to win because, it's Shane, right? Shane's going to win. Shane's the best player in the world. Well, if Shane gets beat, guess what? You go from like this to like this.
Oh,
right?
for sure. Yeah.
So
they're all human at the end of the day. I think that part kind of gets forgotten through all this. And I remember when I talked to Darren recently, and he mentioned Shane was on the King's Cup, which was years ago. It was the rest of the world essentially versus the Asians, and it was Darren and Mika and I think Albin and Shane. And this was a long time ago. I think like in 2012, maybe somewhere around there, 10. And Darren said Shane was the best player on the team. And in my head, I'm thinking, I know it's been a long time since I've seen this, but that's the Shane that I've known, like in team environments. But and I'm not saying you got to have world champions sit next to you. You just got to have guys where you have faith in one another sit next to you. where you trust them. You trust them, and whatever will be, will be. And at the end, he's not going to bash you for not getting a look on the one ball after the break or whatever. But if they know you've been dicking around all week long, you're human too. You're going to be a little annoyed, a little pissed off. Could you have done better? Could you have worked harder? And I know, to Dave's point from earlier, I remember being at a Moscone Cup at Bally's years ago, and I'll get up in the morning, go to the gym, 7 a.m. I think the Moscone Cup probably started, I don't remember, 4 o'clock, somewhere around there. And I'm downstairs at the gym at Bally's at 7 a.m. And who's all there? All 5 Europeans and Laylee. And the only American that was there was Earl doing crunches on the bench. That was it.
Earl.
Yeah, Earl. Just sit up and down, up and down, up and down. Yeah, but I swear, yeah. But like they were still putting in the effort behind the scenes when you didn't know, and they're doing all the right things, right? The diet, the exercise, all these things, they're putting in all the work, so that way all these complementary pieces are gonna help in the overall.
Yeah, and honestly, I think you just need to create a team that is positive and everybody is all on the same page. Because I think Sky, Fedor, and Shane obviously are no-brainers, right? In my opinion. And then Tyler, I think Tyler, he played bad this year, but how can you not put him on the team? He's such a great player, and his work ethic is amazing. But they all have to play for it, and they all have to be held accountable, and there has to be structure. They have to be in a structured environment and practice together for 2 weeks and become a team. I don't want to just put these guys through a boot camp and have them practicing every day and torturing these guys like, a drill instructor. We're also going to take a break and maybe go out on a boat and go fishing or go drive a race car or something. I don't know, but we're going to have some fun. It's not going to be all pain in practice.
Airboat in the swamp, baby. Let's go.
What's that?
Airboat in the swamp. Let's go.
Airboat in the swamp.
I like
Absolutely.
it, man. Look,
Anything, just to do some team stuff and have fun and let loose. Maybe not even practice for a day. Just go out and have some fun. Go, like you said, an airboat, go out to dinner, and see a movie or a show, whatever. Just have some fun. And then come back the next day, do it again for 3 or 4 days, and then go out and have some fun, right? Because you have to work hard, play hard, right? You want to have a little bit of fun while you're working hard. If you don't, then it gets monotonous. Just practice, boot camp. Because we did it in Vegas. We went on four-wheelers. Poor Oscar. We went out on four-wheelers in the desert, and me and Billy, we had driven four-wheelers, so we were having a blast in Sky, and Oscar fell off of his four-wheeler.
Did he? Yeah, he ain't that guy. He ain't that guy.
But,
yeah.
No, he's not that guy. But we had a great time, and that's the other thing I got branched off. So I think we were better prepared than we've ever been prepared for a Moscone Cup, and we got beat. And we all got along good. The team, we had great chemistry. We had fun. We were hanging out together. We were practicing together, playing together, and we got beat. So, it has to be a perfect storm, right? You have to practice good. You have to play good. Everybody has to gel. Everybody has to be on the same page, and everybody has to be on the same schedule. You have to be on a schedule when you're playing a Moscone Cup. You have to be.
Have you reached out to Matchroom, Dennis, over the last few weeks at all?
Well, I've messaged Emily, not this time, but in the past, I've messaged her and asked her to be the Moscone Cup captain and told her, hey, I'm here if you ever want to consider me. And she said, I will keep you in mind. But we already have someone or whatever in the past, right. Which I think at the time was Jeremy and then Johan and then Jeremy and Johan. And then the last time I messaged her, I don't believe she responded, but she's obviously busy. But sure. I would love to reach out to Matchroom. They know where I stand on this. They know that I want to be part of this. And it's not about, glory. It's not about clout. It's not about fame. And it's not about money. Because as I said, if we don't win, don't pay me. I just want to prove one time that I can show and make a difference with a team. And if I lose, we get crushed, get rid of me. It's that simple.
The little giants, man. The annexation of Puerto Rico. Just one time, baby, one time.
That's it. Give me one chance because I know, especially depending on who's on the team, I have a lot of fun with these guys. We text and talk outside of pool. I haven't been on the scene in a few years, right? But it doesn't mean we're not still friends when we talk. I mean, I'm close with a lot of these guys.
But do you think, let me ask you this on that note, do you think it'd be an issue for you to have to, I don't want to say check somebody, but be real with somebody in terms of like them not pulling their weight or them not stepping up to, wherever you hope them to in terms of effort?
No, I wouldn't have a problem with that. I mean, I'm sure you've heard some stories about me. I don't pull any punches or hold anything back. If I have something to say, it's
I've
getting
heard
said.
I've heard a couple stories, Dennis. Yeah.
So, friends or not, especially in this environment, I'm going to tell you, hey, man, you need to step up and do this, or you're doing this wrong, or you're doing that wrong. But friends aside, this is about business, and this is what we're trying to accomplish. Can you be a part of the team? Right? This is what I need from you, and I think they'll all be receptive. I don't think anyone would have a problem with me trying to, and I'm not going to go in there like a drill instructor and you got to do this and you have to do it my way. That's
Sure.
not about that. I
Yeah,
just
yeah,
want
yeah.
them to practice. I want them to do some drills. I have some unorthodox games that my father taught me as a child that made me a champion and that I'd like to teach them. Also, some breathing techniques that I learned when I went down and trained as a recovery coach in Florida. I learned some breathing techniques. There's a lot that I've learned in the past 10 years since I've been sober, not just about pool, but about life.
Yeah, yeah.
I have a lot to offer. That's all I can say.
I want to get you guys out of here on this. Dave, I saw where Classic is going to be hosting the Premier League pool. Tell me about that, how that came to be, and yeah, how excited are you for that?
Yeah, I mean, we got a very busy February. Like right before that Premier League pool, we've got a WPBA, the Players Championship happening.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. I heard about that too.
So we've got that.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
And that's like 50,000 added by itself, I think, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, it's like it is. It is.
I'll be down there.
It's going to be great, and a certain Black Widow is going to be playing in the event too.
There we go. Let's go.
So we're super excited about that. But yeah, PLP. Match. I've been in contact with Matchroom for a while now, and they just kind of reached out to me and said, "Hey, man, what do you think about doing this at Classics?" And I was like, "Is this a joke? You guys messing with me? Because this is like, this is pretty cool." And they're like, "No, let's make it happen." And when we were in London, we kind of sealed the deal with a handshake and a bottle of champagne with Emily.
Nice.
And it was super cool, man. It was really exciting. That was probably the highlight of the trip, seeing as how we were getting our butts kicked every day.
Yeah,
but yeah, that was great. And then so now we're just in the preparation phases, the one negative, though, I will say right now is there's crossover between that and the Predator event in Vegas.
Right.
So some guys are kind of torn of where they should go or what's going to happen, but it's only 16 people, it's not like it's a huge open event or anything like that. So I don't know if it's as big of a problem, but we're super excited. We don't even know who's going to be there yet. I know one person that's going to be there, but the other 15 are kind of up in the air so far. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I know I've got my favorites I'd like to see there. And
let's hear it.
Oh, I would love to see my buddy David Al-Qaidi there.
Yeah.
I'd love to see Fran there too. I know I probably can't have Fran, David, and Honus because I think they try to only do 2 from each country, right?
It just depends, but yeah.
Yeah. So we're gonna see. I'd love Moritz to be there because I want to yell rookie at him one more time.
I like it.
That was
he should be there as defending Premier League pool champion. I would guess anyway.
Yeah. So and I'm pretty sure Jesus Atencio is going to be there. Pretty sure.
I would bet money. Although I'm sure you'd obviously know more than me, but I would guess Jesus is going to be on that bill for sure.
Yeah, I'd like to have him there. I honestly want to see. I know Gerson and Debu probably aren't going to be on that list because they haven't really done the WNC thing yet. But it's supposed to be the top 8 players, and then you get 8 wild cards. I think, right? Is officially how they do it. So
something like that, yeah.
So we'll see. But like this year, I really want those South American guys to get more exposure on tour. I think it'd be huge for the game, and it's good for Classics because we're in South Florida. So that was kind of our whole plan with bringing those guys on. So
Gerson's got a lot of upside, and Debu's he was a finalist of the World 10 Ball a few years back before he disappeared for a little bit. So I mean, it's not that those boys can't compete because they sure can. And they've shown it before. So Gerson, especially, I love Gerson's style of play. Like you don't know if he's going to spear the ball in or two rail it, somewhere else. You know what I mean? It's just he's a lot of fun to watch.
Oh yeah, and coming off that silver in the in the games over in I think it was in China.
World Games, yeah.
Yeah, in the World Games. Ton of momentum for him. He beat Josh Filler in that tournament.
He did.
And beat him too. Didn't like luck out. Like he gave.
Yeah, they had that great photo of him afterwards where he's just like in tears following
Yeah.
that win. It was, I love that photo.
Yeah, that was incredible. But yeah, so I'm hoping to see those guys a lot more this year. I think we will. And but yeah, this PLP it's incredible. I couldn't believe it when they asked me about it.
What are the dates of that, Dave?
February 18th through the 22nd.
All right. Well, maybe we have to make a trip out there to Florida then. Go swing by the room.
Yeah, man. We'll throw some chicken wings in the fryer for you, bro.
Yeah, add me at chicken wings. I don't even care about pool. Just chicken wings, I'm in.
Bro.
Actually, I've heard that your kitchen is pretty bomb. I've never been there, but I've heard
amazing.
Yeah.
Listen, trust me, I've been there. I had the smash burger, the chicken wings, the best chicken. I lived in Buffalo for 30 years. I'm telling you, the best chicken wings I've ever had.
I want to say Shane said the same thing. I'm pretty sure Shane, or like something along those lines. I'm pretty sure.
Unbelievable,
wings.
Dude. Shane and that hot honey garlic. When I first gave him the hot honey garlic, bro,
we're still talking about chicken wings here, are we, Dave?
Yeah, chicken wings. He lit up like a Christmas tree, man. He was so happy. I've never seen him so smiley when he was eating those chicken wings. He wouldn't even put the wings down. He was like telling people what to do on the table, pointing them out. Oh yeah, shoot here, do this, while he had a wing in his hand. He wouldn't put it down, man. They're good. Shout out to Chef Jackie. Thank you, Jackie, for making the best food ever.
Yeah,
there you go.
The food was incredible. Guys, can I just say one thing?
Yeah.
So, I'm gonna fight till the end to try to be the coach. I don't know if I will, and I doubt that I will get picked because I'm not out there. I'm not traveling. I'm not going to tournaments, but I'm willing to do so, right? I'm willing to go watch the players at tournaments. I'm willing to help them at tournaments, talk to them at tournaments, and watch and build up to the Moscone Cup. Just because I haven't been around doesn't mean I can't be. And I'd still like to get back playing. Thanks to Dave, I'm back out there in the Ultimate Pool, USA, and I'm going to start playing in some tournaments next year.
And getting some trophies along the way, too. I was
Absolutely.
sweating.
I can still play. Yeah. Don't get it twisted.
There you go. I like it. Keep it spicy, Dennis. I dig it, man.
But I have a friend of mine that lives in Florida, and he has a whole Bible of notes of training outlines for the Moscone Cup. Not only that, I've tracked the teams over the years, which teams have never won together, which teams have played the best together, which teams have played the worst together, who's better at singles, right? I have knowledge too, and I have stuff written down too, and so do friends of mine. So, it's not just going to be me building this team. It's going to be smart people. Dave is going to be 100% behind us. Obviously, Dave is smart. He's, I don't know if you know Dave's background, but Dave is very educated. But he's willing to help us in any way, shape, or form. Dave, just go to his Facebook page. He's willing to help us in any way, shape, or form. So is Christopher C. Wilson. All I'm saying is this, is that I have a ton of knowledge that I would like to give to these guys on and off the table. I've been through it all in life and on the table. I've been in the Moscone Cup. I've won the Moscone Cup. I've won the MVP. I've been a fighter my whole life. And I just know that I have something to offer. And it's not just going to be me, listen to what I say, drill instructor. It's just going to be, let's all come together as a team. Let's try to build. Let's try to do what's best for everybody. And if someone doesn't like something, voice your opinion and say something, and we'll try to fix it and change it. Let's all be a team just for 10 days or 2 weeks. That's all I'm asking for. I want one chance. That's it. One chance. That's all I have to say. Please give me a shot.
I'm a believer, man. Listen, you can't.
I believe. Look, I have goosebumps. Can you see the goosebumps? Probably not. But I have goosebumps.
You can fake a lot of things. You cannot fake passion, and at least not in my opinion.
I mean, I literally love. USA and USA Pool, and obviously the flag, country, right? I mean, even when we were losing, I was still passionate out there playing. I mean, I don't think anyone's ever been as passionate as me in the Moscone Cup. Maybe I'm wrong, but. Jason's pretty passionate, but he's not a USA.
Yeah. But from our side, I'd say you're probably number one on that list. That's for sure.
Yeah. So, and I can also do that when I don't have to play, right? I can be the cheerleader. Those guys don't have to get the crowd going. Let me do that. I'll do that. Yeah. Let me talk to the ref. Let me put Jason in check.
I want to see that. That's the one I really want to see. That's the one I really want to see. Hey, listen, you're always welcome to come back on, the both of you. Dave, you're doing a lot of great things in pool in your own right. And Dennis, just, listen, I wouldn't have you on if I didn't think there was any substance there for sure, and I got a lot of respect for your thoughtful approach and certainly your passion, your history, your Hall of Famer, amongst many things. So just listen, we'll have you on again soon. And yeah, boys, go enjoy the New Year's. We'll have Chris on as well. We have him on from the league room. He was traveling, so we'll work on getting him back on as well because he's also doing some great things in the pool world. So, boys, go enjoy your New Year's Eve.
Lauderhill, Florida. Dave Bartosiak. Thank you, Dave.
There you are.
Mike, thanks for having me.
You're going to see a lot of this pink.
Yeah, I have some pink too. I wore pink last time.
I need a hoodie.
Christina shoots out of our room.
Hey, as a matter of fact, we're gonna have Christina on tomorrow at noon, so I'm super pumped about that show. So
nice.
Anyway,
Mike,
keep up the great work. Yeah, my pleasure. Keep up the great work, boys, and we'll follow up soon. We'll see all you guys later.